It's just awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fabulous.
I mean, it's like going from super frustration to like, oh, this is why it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whew.
Okay, after that Dennis the Menace impression, here is flight number 3. So, as I referenced in that clip, there was some frustration early on. This is actually my third attempt. There was some full-scale aviation coming in and out, doing touch and goes and some landings, and as well as a few other people out of the field, and quite frankly, I let it get in my head. I just wasn't used to it. So that headspace component is a big one. Make sure that you're comfortable, that you're calm, whatever it takes for you to repeat a mantra or, focus, I think is the correct word. Focus on your mental state, because it really does have an effect on how you perform in terms of these launches, flights, landings, all that. You can see I'm just now trying to get into my seat. Still got full throttle going, gaining altitude. I ended up using both hands once again to get into that seat, so something I need to work on. I think for the next few flights I'm going to try and tighten those leg straps a little bit, make it easier on me, and we'll see what happens. You'll also notice the time of the day. It was evening. This was my first evening flight, and while I'd been around Mark especially on several of his evening flights, it was a really enjoyable experience to be up in the air myself and to really enjoy that sunset. Now, of course, the plan was to be in the air a little bit earlier, but as mentioned, I had a few issues on those takeoffs, things getting into my headspace. And I was actually to the point, I'll be honest, I was thinking, you know what, it's not happening tonight. And Mark came in for his landing, he set it up, did a great job, and he said, you know what, let me help you out. Having a friend there, having someone you trust, who can really jump in and help, it's really imperative to being successful in this. So, kind of shook me out of my funk a little bit, got me set up, and he might not know it, but it's a huge motivation and a huge morale boost to have somebody come in and say, you know what, let me just tweak the way you've laid out your wing. Let me just build that wall up for you a little bit. You got this. It goes a long way in being successful in this hobby and maybe in life in general, but I won't get onto that so much yet. One of the things you'll notice as I go into this is the sunset here looks good, but let me tell you, when you're there using your Mark 1 eyeballs to see this beautiful world laid out in front of you, it's magical, I guess. And the cameras don't do it justice. I don't think any camera does it justice. But this camera that I'm using I've had for a few years now, and I didn't buy it with any intention of actually setting up shots like this. And it does it, I think, more of a disservice than most. So I've actually invested a little bit of money into throwing a couple more cameras into the mix that'll hopefully give you guys a better view of what the world is like from up here, because it is incredible. And if you get the chance to check it out, I would highly encourage you to do so. So as I'm checking my equipment, bleeding off altitude, getting ready to come in for that landing, I'm of course trying to be aware of what's going on around me too. I knew that Andy was in the air at the same time, so trying to make sure that I was aware of where he was. You don't want to cut anybody off for sure, and don't want to be surprised, don't want to be cut off, so not that Andy would, but just being cognizant and aware of your surroundings, of course. Not getting too into the moment, but aware, I guess. You can see I'm just losing more altitude. Set up for my approach, kind of looking around. As a noob, I'm trying to, go through a dry run in my head to an extent. Every approach, if I've got the time and the opportunity, it's not hurting me any to go through here. Get kind of a dry run or a practice run of what my angles are going to be based on the wind, based on the conditions, and you'll see as I get a little bit closer, I kind of wave to my buddy Mark on the ground and just share a little bit of a low pass, and then I come around for that landing. And it's at this time I make my left turn, kind of the crosswind approach and downwind leg, and I notice Andy here. So he's doing well. Looks like he's setting up for his landing approach, and I decided to get a little bit of altitude, come over these power lines, and learn from him as he's making his approach and try and emulate what I see. You'll see he ended up falling a little bit short of where he wanted to, but of course no damage done, no harm, no foul. I stretched mine out a little bit longer based on what I saw. So you can see Andy just went just a tiny bit short, ended up right on the edge of that bean field, and that's okay. So I decided to try and stretch it out a little bit further. Now, really, I should be a bit higher than I am here. And kind of come in high, let the wing come forward a little bit, pick up some more energy, and then flare at the bottom. I can't explain it. Wasn't really thinking about that for some reason. I was just enjoying watching Andy land, and ended up coming in a little too fast and went right on my butt. Good thing is I've got a Blackhawk Rhino frame, which is pretty much known for being I won't say abuse proof, but used to abuse. So that was my first time coming in and dropping it on my behind, but it worked out well. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and just really enjoyed some nice smooth air on this flight. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Maybe you learned something, but hopefully you were entertained, and look forward to seeing you at flight number 4.